Tech, now that we have Kyle here, I wanted to get your take on Chrono Trigger on Steam. As the PC editor, do you recommend this version of Chrono Trigger?
No, it's just the mobile port, right?
Yeah.
Like even worse than that is from what I've heard. I haven't actually played it, but like
I don't know about worse than that. It's
like
just
extra
seeing
filters and
well, seeing it on a big ass screen, it is such a bummer. So they finally, out of the blue, brought Chrono Trigger to Steam, and it's the mobile version. To the point that like the UI is on the screen at all times,
directly stripped from the mobile one.
It's absurd. So like
it's really sad. Like one of the best games of all time, no doubt, right? Like
yeah.
And then this is the treatment it gets. Well, sweet.
And coming right off the heels of Secret of Mana, which there are maybe some defenders out there of the remake. At least they tried to do something with the remake.
There was effort there, whether it was good or not.
There was effort, and this is just bare bottom of the barrel. Like, okay, Dan, seriously. The amount of effort it takes, I know you're not a programmer, to put Secret of Mana, the iPhone version, which also just has ugly-looking UI and text.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm a constant, you know, I've played some of Square's Steam ports of the mobile games, like Final Fantasy IV.
Right.
These other disgusting, you know, ports of the mobile games. It's just like, man...
And it sucks
because they're great games that I'd love to play on PC.
And some ports Square gets right. I mean, like all the Final Fantasy games ported over to Steam. I think
like
have
the
been
PlayStation
great so far.
ones, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. PlayStation 2 and whatnot. Even like 15 seems to be okay.
I'm talking the earlier ones with the chunky monkey graphics.
We need those chunky monkeys.
They're no good.
Okay, but just think about this. So the number of sales they're going to get with this now mostly negative reviewed version of Chrono Trigger on Steam.
They rolled it out surprise, so hopefully people, you know, I'm sure potentially the intent was to get it before people could give it bad reviews, right? Because it's hey, it's here.
But the question is,
Chrono Trigger, best game.
A year down the road, right?
Yeah.
If they release this one, what are those sales figures looking like versus sales numbers for like here's the straight, beautiful Super Nintendo version?
I don't know. I wish we had that version.
Yeah, I know. But hypothetically, what are the numbers?
Man,
I'd assume that most people would want to have that.
But I guess the question that you're asking though is like the PC. There are people who are going to buy that, and be turned off, and it does, you know, when
from
it comes,
living.
Let's say that like a good port comes out.
Yeah.
They're like, they've already got their Chrono Trigger fill, and it was really disappointing. I don't know if they buy that one.
I guess
now,
I'm just trying to figure out like what's the incentive for the company to do this right versus just do bare bottom gross ass version.
Right, because no one wants to play it. Yeah, what's the incentive?
Would it sell 3 times as much? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Sure.
I don't know.
I feel like they went into this with like this is just going to be a low effort port. They didn't promote it at all. It was a surprise release. They like with those fantasy, you know, those PlayStation era ports, they had to do some work to get to actually make them because I don't think any of them were on mobile before this, were they?
Mobile?
Like 7, 8, 9?
God, I think they are. I think they are, yeah.
But I imagine that like those took a little bit more work,
right?
And so they promoted them. So like this feels like, you know, let's do this as low effort as possible, just to say we've done it.
It's a good question though, because like if they did commit a lot of resources to it, would they make
a lot of
resources?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of from Square Enix perspective, like
some idiot hacker made a ROM of this that runs on an emulator in 1997. You know what I mean? Like
they just loaded that entire ROM. It's like, oh, it crashed. We're gonna have to fix a bug. Well, I guess we have the iOS ROM. Let's just use that one instead.
It's stupid.
Do you? I mean, I wonder if the value of this game is not going to come later when someone just mods it to say like, here's the actual version you wanted.
Just remove the filters that are gross as hell.
Right, because it's like it's just filters and interface stuff that is just really terrible.
Interface stuff.
Some of the like the graphics are kind of misaligned or something.
I don't know if they opened it up to Steam Workshop, but that'd be nice.
I can't say. Well, I mean, you could just download, you know, like a non-licensed mod.
Whoa!
I'm just saying,
buddy.
Do you think people are going to go through the effort of doing that?
I don't know.
No, they'll just play the ROM.
Yeah,
it's so much easier. Like, because you got to if you're going to do a port, you got to give people incentive to not steal the original version of the game. You know, and that's not here.
There's a YouTube comment that summed it up perfectly, saying, "In this version of Chrono Trigger, I'm rooting for Lavos."
That's really good.
Do you think this port was part of why like Chrono Trigger, just to fuel conspiracies, why this wasn't on this NES Classic?
Oh my God.
We got something in our back pocket.
You can't say that out loud. People will riot in the streets. The city will tear itself apart.
It's like, no, we can release this on its own.
Well, it just bums me out to think like, you know, I was hoping for a standalone release of Chrono Trigger on Switch, but now it's like, if they release this version of Chrono Trigger on Switch, I'm going to rip out my tongue and chuck it at Square's headquarters. Who's with me?
But the moral of the story is just go get a 3DS and the DS version of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, that seems to be the one, because I've never finished Chrono Trigger, so I was the perfect marker for this. Of like, I've played Chrono Trigger for like 2 hours and kind of bounced off of it, and I wanted to finish it. But hearing that this version is
is
terrible.
not the one to play.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Serial.
I don't know. I'll have to dig out my DS copy of it.
But hey, Final Fantasy VII Remake coming soon. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be the iOS version, actually.
Square Enix, really, they know how to remake their games. Let me tell you.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.